Hey everybody, and welcome back to our Dark Souls Thief playthrough, 1080p 60 frames per second high quality. This is episode number 10. And we ran out of time last time, so we didn't get a chance to take out Nito, but we're right here at the bonfire. We upped it to 20 Estus flasks, and now we're ready to tackle the first of the Undead, even though we can't agree on exactly what that means. You know, there's a really easy way to get to whatever it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I remember you can get to Nito without actually aggroing a single enemy. So I gotta remember how to do that. Here we go. Boom, that's it. Then drop down here. And then, boom, that's it. Now we don't even need that skull anymore. As long as we can fast roll, we can leave that little skull lantern equipped for now, because we may need it again if we die. There is a good chance we'll die on Nito simply because he has a bunch of ads. And you know, ads are always a challenge. I mean, when you have so many ads during the fight, they always have the potential to stagger you and stun lock you, and then, you know, make it hard for you to actually get in a heal when you need it, or stagger you out of a roll or something of that sort. And with that, Paladin Leroy is gone. Alright. I know we got a whole bunch of souls that we have the potential of losing, but I don't really mind that much. I mean, 22,000 souls, we can get that later if we really needed it. And that's how you take care of those doohickeys. They can drop, I think, White Titanite chunks, if I'm not mistaken, but we don't need White Titanite chunks, so, you know, we're not going to bother with that. You gotta be careful of that dude back there that can come at you. Conveniently, that guy goes into the ground, and you can skip these two skeletons, as many of you probably found out by now, and I typically do. They're not worth hanging out, or hanging around to fight. No way, no way. You can fight those guys if you want a chance at getting the mask that Pinwheel didn't drop for you. Like, if you wanted the Mask of the Child and you didn't get it the first time through. But, personally, I'm just gonna go straight to the boss. Other than that one item I got in this one. Other than that, I pretty much go straight to the boss. Because those are some pretty good souls. Unfortunately, you take some mandatory damage from the drop here, which I've never agreed with. I've always thought that that's kind of cheap to mandatorily damage the player for dropping into the boss arena. But whatevs, man. What are you going to do about it? Nothing, that's what. We're going to spam that Estus Flask button. Chug. We're going to get in there and do what needs to be done. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to aggro the big dudes, darn it. Darn. Oh my gosh, that's bad. He buried me. Oh no, 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 no. That was close, that was close, that was so close. Ah, I find it so difficult to dodge that sometimes. This may be tougher than I thought. Yeah, this may give me a little more trouble than I thought it was going to give me, because I don't have a way of permanently killing the skeletons. So what may have been a better idea is, it may have been a better idea to bring a divine weapon in here. For this battle, the camera can actually go out further than it normally does, so it can look strange at times. That's why the camera's going out further than it will normally go out. Oh. And this is why I brought a whole bunch of Estus, because I knew that I was going to keep dying. Or keep getting hit, rather. I'm actually trying to draw these guys out a bit so that they get hit by Nito himself. Like that right there. Okay. Ah, I got hit just before I was trying to dodge that little... Oh no, darn it, darn it, darn it, darn it. We almost had him. Today's drink of choice is hot black coffee with nothing in it. People sometimes mention, like, well, you know, Fox, you don't need to specify there's nothing in it. If it's black, that's what black means. Well, not necessarily. Some people order black coffee and then put sugar in it. Still black, just has sugar. Which is poison, guys. Poison. Don't jump down there. Yeah, no, yeah, be careful. Be careful. There we go. I think there's an easier spot where I can jump down a little quicker right there, but whatever. We still make it in a few seconds, so no big deal. I don't think I have a single divine weapon on me, do I? Or any weapon that does divine damage. Actually, this does divine damage? It does, doesn't it? Hang on, let me try something here. Huh. I wonder if I can manage to kill an enemy with this. Will it actually... I think as long as I could get the final hit, I think that would actually kill it. But I'd have to get that final strike. We'll try this again. I got fairly close last time to killing him. He was down to about, I'd say, what, 1/3 health? Or between 1/3 and 1/4? We'll get to the comments, as I promised. However, we're not going to do comments during boss fights. But James Fairley, also known as James a Lot, asked on YouTube in the comment section. Hang on a second. Fox, what about the parrying dagger for a thief playthrough? I'm a beginner, I only beat game once, what's your opinion? Well, I think the thief or the parrying dagger would actually be a really good fit thematically and otherwise. I mean, it makes for the additional parry frames, and it gets you away from the idea of using a shield. So yeah, that would work. Personally, I'm not going to use it, but you could definitely use it, and it's easy to get very early on in the game. If you wait till he comes out this way, you don't necessarily get the attention of the big skeletons, who are the bigger problems than these little guys. That's one thing I don't want to do, is get the attention of the big skeletons. That is very hard to dodge, because you have to know the timing. You have to know the timing. Actually, I'm going to move over here. Oh, come on. Right as I tried to roll, that dude gets right in my face. Yeah, there we go. Nito came out just a little bit more. Perfect. I just don't want him bringing those big skeletons into the fight. And I gotta make sure that... Oh, I ran out of stamina right there. Notice that when you're right up on top of him, some of his attacks will actually go right through you. Some of his swiping attacks. It is kind of funny how that happens. So you can clearly see it pass through your character, but it doesn't hit you. Which is just odd. And it's also awesome that virtually all of his attacks, at least all the ones that I'm aware of, will damage the skeletons around him. I didn't think that was going to hit me, so I better drink. Yeah, see, the mistake I made last time was getting the attention of the big skeletons. Always a mistake. Oh, just barely got caught by the edge of his attack. That one hit me, obviously. See how that looks like it should have hit me but didn't? Yeah, that happens a lot. Okay, second attempt, not bad. I could have taken like a second bandit's knife and put a divine on it. Or gotten some arrows and divine bow or something. Alright, let's go ahead and level up Altered Beast. There I go again, matching my vitality to my endurance. Okay. The bars are obviously different because you get, I think, more health than endurance per point. Alrighty then. That is that, my friends. And all that's left now is the Bed of Chaos, except for the fact that we still have the DLC and the other area I told you guys I'd take care of, which is the Undead Parish. So in order to take care of that, we need to go back to the Undead Asylum. Undead Parish. Why did I say Undead Parish? I meant the oh, what's that area called? I can't even think of it. Painted World. That's it. The Painted World. I almost thought Portrait of Ruin, but that's a Castlevania game. Man, I loved Portrait of Ruin on the DS. When I was in Japan, I would just lay there on the futon on the floor there, trying to go to sleep. And my wife was playing like Animal Crossing or Bejeweled or something like that, and I was just playing Portrait of Ruin endlessly on my DS. I had a DSi and she had a DS. I love the first DS I got, it was silver, and I love things that are silver. I love silver consoles, silver controllers. But for some reason, Sony, excuse me, in recent times has limited the silver color schemes. Sony and Nintendo have both, in some regards, limited silver color schemes to their Japan audience. So as far as I know, the only silver DS you could ever buy was Japanese only, which I still have today. Undead Asylum. We have to return because I forgot to pick up the strange doll, or peculiar doll. That's it, the peculiar doll. That's one of the particular issues of translation. Translation is not an exact science. Many people, I've talked about this before, but translation is not, there is no one-to-one. You can't just say, what's this mean? And then I give you a word and you go, okay. It's really, really not that simple. I'm going to turn off the frame rate mod just for this jump here. Oh, the game looks terrible at 30 frames per second. Oh my gosh. I forgot how bad this game looks when it's at low frame rates. Anyway, back up to our 60 plus frames per second. Oh, now I can't get up there. There we go. And we're back. Basically, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, translation is a very, very dynamic thing. There's no such thing really as a literal translation, because even if you say something like, well, Fox, there are certain nouns that translate literally, like, for example, tree in Japanese is ki, and you know, you could just directly say in English it's tree, and that's a direct translation. Yeah, well, if you were trying to say, for example, family tree, you could not use the word ki in Japanese. You know what I mean? Like, words are used differently. A tree or a chart, you can't use that word for a chart, whereas in English you could. And there are other terms that, while they at first might seem like they have some direct literalness to them, really the way words are used, the context, the situations, and idioms and phrases and whatnot are all different. There really aren't many direct translations that you could even try to argue, much less could you say that direct translation is a thing in and of itself. It's really all translation has an element of dynamicness, dynamicity. I don't know what the word for it is. It has an element of volatility, maybe is the word. There are different ways to translate things, and there are some phrases that really have no translation. They just have to be understood in context from the culture. So in that regard, translation is a challenge, and in this case, peculiar doll could have just easily been translated as strange doll, or weird doll, or odd doll, or, you know, some word like that. It depends on the original Japanese word they used. So there are lots of different ways to translate certain things, and you'll notice that when different versions of a game get released, sometimes words and individual phrases change. And that's because there was a slight modification in the translation. Somebody disagreed with someone else's translation, or somebody modified their own translation. And that happens actually quite a bit. What the heck? I wasn't expecting him to show up. But no matter. He still died anyway. Oh, poor Oscar. You had such aspirations in life. not going to hit the bonfire because I don't want to deal with these torch hollows again. Hollows, that's what these guys are called. Hollows, okay. So, when it comes to translation, it's not an exact science. It's a very fluid kind of thing where I've often heard people say, well, you know, Fox, you say it's translated such and such, but someone else said it's translated such and such, and that someone else, I trust them more. Well, it's not that either one of us are wrong. It's that one of us may have a better grasp on... It could be that one of us has a better grasp on the whole nature of the thing. Like, when you're translating a text from a video game, the more familiar you are with the IP, the more familiar you are with the game and its world and the developers, the better you're going to be at translating it. So, if I were to go in to, say, translate Final Fantasy, I don't know, 16, the next one, Final Fantasy 15, I mean. If I've been playing Final Fantasy all my life, and I work at Squaresoft, I've actually met, I met a guy, I think his name is Koji? I can't remember exactly what his name is, but he's Caucasian, he's a white guy, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was born in Japan. He has a Japanese first name, and he does translation work for Square Enix. I met him, had a chance to talk to him for a while, got a chance to discuss translation and whatnot, and he probably wouldn't remember me at all, and I wouldn't blame him for not remembering me, that's fine. But I definitely remember him because he said a lot of the same things I'm saying to you now. I'm trying to think of where I'm going now. Oh yeah, in Orlando. So, you know, we talked at not at length, but and to some degree about how your familiarity with a work, with an intellectual property, is immensely useful for translation. If you were to try to translate The Lord of the Rings into Japanese, which I'm sure it's already been translated a long time ago. If you were to try to translate that into Japanese, one of the first things you'd want to do is read through the entire series, read notes, learn about the author, and this is typically not something that's done because you just don't have that much time. I mean, generally the reason people don't put in the amount of time that you really need to do something really well is because it just costs too much. Time is money, and it's just too costly. That's why there's so much bad journalism in the world, and especially in video game journalism. Is because, you know what, I'm going to kill this, I'm going to kill her because I want her Firekeeper soul. And all I need to do is warp to this bonfire. I don't need to warp from it anymore. So, let's do this. And, you know, to put in the amount of work that's really necessary to do a stellar translation job that's really well done from start to finish and really understands the content would just require too much time of most people that aren't already familiar with it. So if you don't pick someone who's already familiar with it, they're probably not going to get familiar with it. So they may translate things differently because they don't understand the nature of the product, of the intellectual property. Which one am I going to here? Yeah, it's that one. So, in a case like The Lord of the Rings, you'd want them to be as familiar as possible. Same thing with games journalism. You know, we had a lot of, recently, especially this got exposed August of 2014 with the Gamergate situation. It got exposed that we had a whole bunch of people who were acting in the role of games journalists writing articles, but it became clear that their familiarity with video games actually wasn't that great. They were really more so like English majors or liberal arts majors or women's studies majors or, you know, all of these other things that just didn't really seem to have anything to do with video games. And so when they wrote about games, instead of focusing on the games themselves and game mechanics and story and graphics and sound effects and music and game design elements, and, you know, leveling and RPG, you know, instead of getting involved in all that, these game journalists became obsessed with and focused heavily on things that they were familiar with. representation of minors, representation of women, minority groups, not minors, minority groups and women, and social issues, and issues, all these kind of liberal progressive concepts that they had been taught and just were still fresh in their mind from their very, very liberal kind of left-wing university. And I'm not saying that to be insulting, I'm just acknowledging what it is. There are tons of right-wing places out there. Like when it comes to talk radio, it's dominated by right-wing conservatives. When it comes to most other forms of news media other than like Fox News, it's dominated by very liberal left-wing Democrat kind of leaning people. Like NPR is a more professional outlet that does a better job of not being so obvious, but it's very clear they're left-leaning. CNN is more moderate than MSNBC, but MSNBC is an extremely left-wing liberal, whereas CNN is just, more towards the middle, but still left-wing. Not left-wing, sorry, but still liberal-leaning. Anyway, these individuals came out of universities, had just finished their gender studies, women's studies, studies multiculturalism in societies and all this other stuff, and all these very liberal progressive concepts of social justice and identities and all this other stuff, identities and group politics and group identity politics. And so they started kind of injecting that and pushing that into their journalism of games. And so they started examining games not for their story, not for their graphics, not for their gameplay, not for any of their game design or mechanics. They started analyzing them from this social justice, liberal, progressive, liberal arts, gender studies, multiculturalism perspective. And that's why you got such odd articles like Kotaku, which I disaffectionately call Crap-taku. It's one of the worst games journalism sites on the net. They're basically rebloggers. They don't even usually come up with their own content. They just reblog what others create. They'll find a video on YouTube that they like, write a little about it, post a link to it, and boom, that's an article for them. They were doing a lot of sponsored articles without saying they were sponsored. They're just very unethical outlet in general, and it's just the whole Gawker outlet is terrible. It's one of the prime examples of what's wrong with journalism. Gawker kind of encapsulates everything wrong with modern journalism today. Just opinion pieces disguised as reporting. No actual work done to investigate. Jumping on all allegations. Making people look bad. If it bleeds, it leads. If it hurts, it works. Kind of mentality. But anyway, Kotaku released this article entitled "Straight White Male, the Lowest Difficulty Setting." And I remember at the time, long before all the controversy came out, we're at the Painted World, guys. By popular request. You asked for it, you got it. I've skipped this in nearly all of my playthroughs, just because it's a completely optional area, and if there's nothing here I feel like I need, then I usually don't even bother with it. But now you know that I'm doing it for you, because I love you so much, in a completely platonic way. But take a look at my frame rate, guys. This area kills my frame rate every time. Every time! I mean, we're talking, I get frame rates of sometimes less than half of the rest of the game. Even Blighttown. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I'm going to be killing these guys with a bow and arrow when possible. So, you had all these articles being released, and they kept obsessing over, ooh, who's being sexist, or who's being ableist, or who's being racist, or, does this game represent this group, and all this other stuff. And it was just so odd to me, because I'm thinking, how can, for example, let's say there's a racial group of people, of human beings known as, I don't know, let's call them Antarcticans. And, the idea is, well, there aren't enough Antarcticans in your game, so you put an Antarctican character in your game. What I don't understand is, what are you trying to say? Like, all Antarcticans are the same or similar in some way? Like, they can't be different enough that one Antarctican doesn't necessarily represent them all, or even the majority. I mean, shoot. I have never in my entire life felt that anyone could represent me just because they share my skin color. In fact, I felt the exact opposite. I've met countless people who would identify as Caucasian or white because they are. They look similar to me, but I do not think they speak for me at all. In fact, I would completely disagree with the things they say, their politics, their beliefs, their religion, their everything about what they say and believe, I would say I disagree with. And yet, putting one person in a game that looks similar to me is supposed to represent my group? I have one word for that, and their word is no. This guy doesn't represent me. So the same could be said of any and all groups everywhere. Having a similar skin color or being similar in race does not mean that they represent a group. People are not groups. People are people. People are individuals. And, you know, sharing the same sex, you know, just because I'm male doesn't mean there's another male out there who thinks the exact same things I do and we all share the same opinions because, you know, we happen to be both born male. That's just kind of silly to me. Jeez, what the heck is going on here? I almost died. There, take that, loser. Alright. So anyway, basically what I'm saying is there's bad journalism all over games. It's a major problem in gaming, and a lot of that bad journalism is really based on these people that have these silly notions that people identify as groups, that you're a group person, that you should be evaluated, understood, and contextualized within the concept of a group based on nothing more than your gender, based on nothing more than your race. And I think that's absurd. I think that's such a absurd way of thinking that, oh, well, this guy, his skin color is X, therefore he must be like other X-colored people, skin-colored people. Or the notion that, well, this person is this race, therefore any person of that race can represent them? This seems absurd to me. Like, we regularly see a woman show up on a panel, and she's meant to be there to, quote, represent women's interests. When do we put a man on a panel to, quote, represent men's interests? That notion sounds absurd to me because I'm like, how does he represent me? Did he talk to me? Is he communicating my interests? How does he communicate the interests of all men? Simply because he's a man? I'm going to have to disagree with that one. Oh, I'm about to die. I'm about to die. No, don't knock me off. Ooh. That was close. That was close. You dead. You fall. You die. I really don't need this, but since I'm already halfway up there, I'm gonna go ahead and get the red summon or red sign soapstone just in case we decide later to do a little PvP to finish it off. Oh gosh, this wasn't worth it. This wasn't worth it. Oh, he's stuck. She/he/it/them. Glitches for the win. Go die, buddy. All right. Yeah, 1,000 souls. Okay. Oh, I see you there. Oh, come on now. That is so... I am so clearly shooting her. Cheap. Let me try something else here real quick. Oh, give me a break. Oh, well, whatever. Okay. So anyway, long story short of that, you know, people are individuals, and no one individual can represent a large group of other individuals based solely on some sort of genetic factor. And that's really what we're talking about here, a genetic factor being used. That's even true of unique genetic factors. Like, for example, just because one person has a certain medical condition doesn't mean everyone else with that medical condition thinks and feels the same way about certain issues. People can feel radically different even if they share things in common. And certainly that's true just because they share something very relatively minor like their race or gender. So, long story short, don't think in terms of collectivism where everyone's the same, everyone belongs to certain groups and they must think a certain way or feel a certain way. Let's look at people as individuals, because that's really what they are. Now, some of you won't like this, but I'm actually thinking about skipping this area by doing the little cut back in here. And if you've never seen it before, I'll show you how it works. I have to kill the dragon first. Which I don't know if you can bleed him/her/it/she/zer/z, whatever gender neutral pronoun people prefer nowadays. This is gonna take a while. Maybe. 222 is not bad, though, considering I haven't even maxed out this bow yet. And we're going to need some more arrows eventually. Well, actually, you know what? At this point, we probably won't need more arrows, because we've got very little left in the game. Maybe we'll use some for the Artorias fight. I don't plan on killing, what's his name? The dragon in the DLC, whose name escapes me at the moment. So, I may not need more than the 90 or so I have right now. Yeah, if you didn't know, you can do that. He gets up, you drop down here, and yeah, that's a thing. So I'm really not sure if it's intended to be that way. I'm pretty sure that's like some sort of glitch. Because if you come down here, as someone else has pointed out, remember the big dude that's supposed to be right here with a shield? He can just like appear out of nowhere. Like he's supposed to be right here. Sometimes he'll materialize and sometimes he won't, which gives credence to the notion that maybe that's a glitched spot in the game that's not actually supposed to be that way. Alright, never fought this boss with this type of character before, but, you know, here we go. Yeah, see, she completely, she becomes immune. Oh, does that mean she's right where it showed? No. Oh, yes, it does. Okay. What? We're looking for them. Okay. No, I have no idea where she went now. Oh, she's right here. Still haven't made her appear yet. Okay, let's get out of there because we're about to bleed out. Let's let that bleed drain for a second. Really? Still haven't made her appear yet? Are you kidding me? Wow, we killed her without her appearing. Nice. I'm going to hang on to that soul of Priscilla, since this is a thief-based character. We may end up doing eventually a New Game Plus with this character, using perhaps the Shadow Armor set, Priscilla's Dagger, and maybe the Parrying Dagger or something else like that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, do not use the Homered Bone here. You'll get stuck back in the Painted World again. Alright. In case you didn't know, most of you probably know this by now, you cannot escape the Painted World by warping. You have to complete it. Once you get into the Painted World, the only way out is by either running past Priscilla or killing her and then jumping out of it. But you can actually go past her without fighting her. In typical fashion, I forgot to actually check how long I've been doing this, so I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's been about 20 minutes. So we'll see if I get my guess right with this one. The easiest bonfire to get to here is the one down at the bottom, so let's go ahead and push this down again. Hopefully that's down and not up. Jump! Boom! Notice you'll be suspended in air for a second as it's trying to gauge where you are located in relation to the moving platform. And at the time, you probably wouldn't realize it, because I don't know if there's any clear indicator, other than if you pay attention to the beginning intro cinematics, but that right there is Gwyn, and that's his weapon. So you get to see the final boss, a statue of the final boss, before encountering the final boss of the game. I've mentioned this in the Bloodborne playthrough, and I surprised people by having a pretty good argument for it. I asked people, who is the final boss in Bloodborne? And everyone gave, you know, different opinions. People would be like, minor spoiler here, so mute this if you don't want a very minor spoiler from Bloodborne. Mute me for about 30 to 60 seconds to be sure. Go ahead and mute it for a minute just to make sure you won't get it spoiled. But basically, some people argued it was the moon presence. A lot of people said it was Gehrman. But basically it was one of those two. Moon presence or Gehrman. I would actually say it's neither. The final boss of Bloodborne is Murgo's Wet Nurse. And if you haven't heard this before, you're probably thinking right now to yourself, what are you talking about? No, what? Murgo's Wet Nurse? You're crazy. But think about it this way. The way I look at the final boss of a game is, who is the final boss character that you have to fight that's indicated to you as a boss before you can complete the game and see the end credits? That's actually Murgo's Wet Nurse. Murgo's Wet Nurse is clearly a boss encounter. There's no doubt about that. And after you kill Murgo's Wet Nurse, you can see the end credits and complete the game. The game will finish and start New Game Plus without another boss encounter. So now, if you were thinking previously that I'm crazy, your thought process probably now is, oh, I see what you mean. By the way, you can warp to the painted world of Artorias, so you cannot warp back. So be careful with that one, guys. You can warp there, but it won't let you warp back. Let's go actually try... let's try Artorias again. So in that regard, Murgo's Wet Nurse is actually the final boss of Bloodborne, because she/he, most probably she, obviously, she is the final boss encounter you must overcome in order to see the end credits. In order for the game to complete, see the end credits, and for it to finish New Game. Yeah, so in that regard, it's interesting to think about it that way, because nobody prior to me making that argument was making that argument or saying that. Nobody I knew was trying to argue that Murgo's Wet Nurse was the final boss. Nobody. But that's my argument, and that's my reasoning for it. Tell me what you guys think. Of course, in getting to some more comments, Rocher21 said, I really like long playthrough episodes, especially if there's insightful commentary, like Ian Beast from the Dark playthrough he's currently doing an extra credits playthrough. There's the reason why I can watch 3 separate Dark Souls playthroughs at once. Each offers a unique perspective of a game I love playing. Yeah, that's the same thing I do. He also said, also, you don't seem to swear much, do you? At least on camera. I don't. Remember, I used to be an elementary school teacher, so, you know, they don't really let you swear much in front of the kiddies. These guys can be very tricky. They feel more Dark Souls 2-ish than any other enemies in this game, in my opinion, because they have that very fast movement. They can run faster than you. They attack fast. They have some very frustratingly annoying movesets that'll catch you off guard. But anyway. Extra credit. Oh, do you mean the Extra Credits, the YouTube channel? Yeah, I used to watch them, and I actually liked some of their content. They used to be pro-gamer. They used to even argue that gaming doesn't encourage violence. Then the whole Gamergate thing happened, and wow, they went totally the wrong way. I cannot support them anymore, so I unsubbed. I don't follow them on Twitter anymore. I've blocked them on Twitter, and I'll have nothing to do with their videos. I don't watch them. I just can't support them anymore, especially after what's his name? You know, the pretentious, the really pretentious looking dude with the long hair and the goatee. You know, the guy who talks. I don't know, what's his name, Justin or Jake or something like that, or I don't know, I can't think of what it is, but the guy who, I don't know, I don't want to say too much about him. I don't like his personality, but that's a personal thing. It's just my little quirk, pet peeve of mine. It's not like there's anything wrong with his personality, just I don't like it. He equated people who supported the Gamergate cause for journalism and ethics in game journalism. He equated us to KKK members. So, no, I'm not okay with that. That was completely inappropriate and ridiculous and just shows he's an extremist. And I really don't like extremists. But anyway, that's neither here nor there for the purposes of this playthrough. Alright, let's do this thing. I'm going to try to shoot Artorias. I'm going to try to make a headshot with the bow in order to help knock him out of his power-up attack. Ooh, I shouldn't have done that. But I did, and I did that too, which I shouldn't have done. It's easy for me to misjudge how far away I am with this dagger. Gosh, I hate that double swipe because if I don't roll away from him, it always catches me on the second round. You know, I wonder if it would just be easier to keep shooting him with the bow. The only catch is I'm held in place for just a little bit with the bow while trying to shoot it. He really is annoying in terms of dodging arrows from a distance. And I do more damage with each arrow than with each swipe of the dagger, so that's interesting. So it may be better just to keep shooting him with a bow. Of course, the time it takes to hit him with the bow is a bit excessive. Knock him out of it, come on. Darn it. I guess I didn't get a good headshot. I need to be closer maybe too. I do not know why I went backwards. I should have known that would have resulted in my instant death. Oh, that's like one of the first times I've ever been hit by that move. Interesting. Nice try, buddy. I shouldn't have done this. Yep. Yeah, oh, he could have got me if he were closer. But he wasn't, thank goodness. One. I shouldn't have gone for the second shot. Darn it. I got him during an instability frame, though. So that's something. Ooh, got him. First shot. Nice. Probably a headshot, too. That's probably why it worked. Ah, come on. Miss at point blank range. He has this really, really annoying habit of dodging right as you're about to hit him with an arrow. See? Jeez, this guy is frustrating. Yeah, they don't let you get too many free hits with the bow on this guy. That was a dangerous move. Yep, see? That's why that was dangerous. I should have known that that might not have worked out in my favor. Whew. Is he still powered up from that first time, or did he lose the power up? Oh, darn it. He got it. Oh, come on now. Oh, shoot. I should have seen that coming. Just hit him this time, don't miss. Oh, come on now. It went right through him. I saw that. Everyone saw that go right through him. Give me a break. No question that went straight through the core of his body. No, I shouldn't have done that one. Whew, and I barely got out of it. That was a stupid move. I got too hasty with that last shot there. Oh, what? Got him in the head. Good. Why am I doing these? These are stupid. Oh yeah, because things like that can happen. Okay. Time to use this. Oh, darn it. Keep trying, buddy. I got you. I got you, Knight Artorias. Ooh, good dodge. And booyah! Well, there we go, guys. The bow wasn't even fully upgraded either. So, boom. We can follow the Trail of the Abyss. Yeah, when the DLC first came out, this spot here, man, you could barely walk into this area. If you were in human form, boom, fog wall would go up and invasions would start. It was like instantaneous. It got to the point where you almost couldn't quit the game because there were so many invasions. Like, you almost had to force quit your game just to get out. Or just go hollow. And let's level up. 30, not bad. 30 vitality, 28 endurance, 40 dexterity. I think we'll keep going with endurance and vitality to 40. And then if we do hit 40 on all three of those, we'll put more into strength, because that will give us some benefit to our weapon. Well, guys, I didn't keep track of exactly how much time I'd spent in the game thus far, but well, actually, hang on. Let's see. How much does it take to level up? 23,000? 30,000. Yeah, we have enough to get to 30,000. There we go. Let's go ahead and level up one more time. I don't want to run around with, 22,000 souls on me. And we're in a good spot. Actually, we got enough to level up again. Why not? We'll use the Soul of Artorias. We got no other use for it. We need a little over 30,000. So one more of these. Yeah, that'll do it, no problem. It'll be a little overkill. 30. Okay, 30 vitality, 30 endurance, 40 dexterity. We're not worried about attunement, resistance, intelligence, or faith. We never worry about resistance. That's pretty much the game's useless stat. It's not literally useless, it is mostly useless. Well, guys, we had some moments in the game where we had to be very, very attentive, so it was harder to get to all the comments. But Dreyer Spider said something I want to comment on. He said, "Hey Fox, I'm sure you've seen people complain about gamers who port bag at one point or another. Considering this very behavior directly led to Dark Souls on PC, and there was also a very popular petition for Bloodborne on PC, I was hoping you might share your thoughts on it. Mainly, is it really something that the gaming community should frown upon? Personally, okay. I'll give you my take on it, and I'll kill a few enemies while I do it. I have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. The term begging is just a term, it's a pejorative term used to insult them. I mean, asking for a port, begging for a port, what's the difference? It's the same thing. You're just trying to use a term that sounds bad to make the person sound bad for doing it, but it's the same action. So in that regard, no, I don't think it's begging. It's just asking or petitioning or whatnot. And two, yeah, like you said, Dark Souls is on PC only because people asked for it, and enough people asked for it. So you could actually claim that Dark Souls made it to PC because of, quote, port begging. Furthermore than that, you could actually say that a lot of games have, because we know this. Oh, shoot. I almost died right there. For example, Xenoblade Chronicles is the prime example. Xenoblade Chronicles and Pandora's Tower made it to the US because of petitions for it. There was Operation Rainfall. A lot of games either get translated or get made into ports for certain systems because of popular demand. So we should always ask companies for what we want as consumers. Sometimes we don't know that companies don't necessarily have the ability to do it. Like a company may no longer have the rights to a product, even though they developed it, so they actually can't make the decision about porting it. In the case of Bloodborne, I don't think it'll ever happen because the purpose of Sony backing Bloodborne was so that they would have a console exclusive. If you can get the game on PC or on Xbox One, then obviously you don't need to buy a PlayStation 4. And the whole purpose of that game is to sell PlayStation 4s, really, for Sony, from Sony's point of view. But anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next episode number 11 of our Dark Souls Thief playthrough, 1080p, 60 frames per second, high quality on the PC. But until then, make sure to follow me, or actually subscribe here on Foxeo Plays. Subscribe to FoxeoGames, my main channel. Link is in the description. And of course, follow me on Twitter, where I love to keep up with all of my subscribers and followers and talk to you guys about what's going on and all that jazz. And I will see you next time. Later, everybody.